The 3 episode Chocho arc finally ended today, and in my opinion, this episode was the best episode out of these 3 episodes. So, without further ado, let's get into my Boruto episode 69 review. It's over. In my opinion, this arc was the least good, so to say, arc of the entire Boruto series thus far. And honestly, before I opened this episode, I didn't really have any high expectations for it, but I was surprised in a positive way because some of the elements of this episode were definitely enjoyable. I'll talk about the final scene of this episode, with Orochimaru and Mitsuki a bit later in this review, but one thing that we got was character development for Chocho. Now, let me give my opinion on it, I guess. This episode, it was predictable that Chocho was gonna develop massively at the end. And you may ask, why was it predictable? Well, if you notice, in this episode, Chocho was extremely irritating. She was rude. She was rude pretty much to everybody, to Sarada, to Inojin, Shikadai, and to pretty much everybody. And at one point, in my opinion, it even felt forced. Yes, I saw what they were trying to do. Okay, we're gonna have Chocho be very rude and irritating throughout the episode, and then we're gonna give her some massive development. But I feel like it didn't have to be so extreme. I guess you could justify it because of her mental state throughout this arc, but I still feel like it was a little bit forced. That amount of irritating behavior, I guess. But anyway, she got some development. Now, before the opening of this episode, there was this chips analogy. Not the biggest fan of it because it's very repetitive in my opinion, and I've been seeing it throughout the series. Chocho made it clear that she thinks that she looks better when she's slim. I just thought, a lot of time was wasted because first she said she was cute, and then she mentioned that when she's slimmer, she's, I guess, more cute or whatever than when she's fat and all that. Again, I didn't like the comparison with chips and all that, but it's just the way it is. We're gonna have to accept Chocho's character. But let's talk about that development first. At the end of the episode, she decided to be herself. It's just as I predicted in this arc. I said this even in my episode 67 review. Chocho is just going to realize that she shouldn't be fake, and she's going to get back to her old self. Now, that part, she's going to get back to her old self. When I said that, I was referring to the fact that she's going to be this, character that makes all these jokes throughout the end of the series, and that's it. We'll see. Luckily, her bond, her relationship with Choji is kind of fixed. She didn't seem disrespectful at the end of the episode like she was throughout the majority of the Boruto series. I'd even say throughout the entire series. I'm just wondering if this is gonna stay like this forever. I guess she matured as a person now. Now, one thing that kind of disappointed me about this episode was Ashina's and Tomaru's characters. For the past 2 episodes, I was, in my episode reviews, I was talking about, how we should get some type of backstory for these 2 characters or something like that. But I also said I don't think we're gonna get it, and unfortunately, I was right. Now, the thing is, you have Ashina. She wants this attention, right? She even, planned all of that with that bandit, stuff like that. But, if we could just get a 30-second scene of her childhood that could justify her actions, it would be great. I said the same thing about Tomaru last week. I was like, okay, maybe if we got a backstory where he was bullied, we would kind of understand him, because obviously he was a dickhead towards Chocho in the last episode, let's be honest, in episode 68, but no, we didn't get it. Not to mention that Tomaru's character development, progression, whatever, is executed so badly. It's so unrealistic. Yes, you can make an argument that he's just an irrelevant side character and that it shouldn't be too complex, but it's stupid. This dude looks like he's 20 years old, and now all of a sudden, because Chocho tried to save him and all that, he realized that it's not only about the physical look. Again, I'm repeating it. I know that he's a side character and that he shouldn't, there shouldn't be too much effort put into his character arc and all that, but it just felt like a cartoon, right? A cartoon for kids. It was unrealistic in my opinion, because like if you look at Ryogi was really relevant throughout the Byakuya gang arc, and I know that arc was longer than this one, but still, with a couple of flashbacks, you can set up a character really, really nicely. And we didn't get that with Tomaru, and we didn't get that with Ashina. Personally, I'm really interested in Ashina even more after this episode because she wanted all that attention. But obviously, we're never gonna get the backstory because the next episode, as you saw by the episode, by the short preview for episode 70, the next episode is focused on Metal Lee learning the 8 gates. So yeah, we're never gonna get backstories of Ashina and Tomaru. They were just these random characters in these 3 episodes, and that's about it, And it's such a shame. I really wonder what made Ashina, want so much attention. What happened to her when she was young? Maybe she wasn't getting enough attention from her parents, or not only parents. Maybe I don't really know. But as I said, it's such a shame that we're not getting any type of backstory. Sarah, I really, really enjoyed her character in this episode. Just like I mentioned in my episode 68 review, she shows that she's such a good friend. Even at the end of the episode, she's like Shannara. She's happy, for Chocho or whatever. It really shows their friendship and all that, because obviously we do know for a fact that, Sarada and Chocho are pretty much best friends. They've been like that throughout the Boruto series, right? And even in this episode, a couple of times, Sarada was offering Chocho the chips. As I said, at one point, for the majority of this episode, Chocho was extremely rude and irritating, so she was just rejecting it. She was kind of getting mad at everybody. But still, Sarada was trying, throughout the episode. Not much to say about Boruto. He barely talked in this arc and all that. Now, let me mention, before I get into the last scene where, Orochimaru eats chips, and before I start talking about Mitsuki, let me mention something that I really, really liked about this episode and about this arc in general. It was a smart plot twist. I personally, when I see a stupid plot twist, it can ruin an entire character for me. For example, Sumire, the way she acted before she was revealed as a villain, for me wasn't... it was stupid, A character that was going to go as far as to kill everybody in the village should have had more doubts in life in general before that point, which is why I thought that her character arc was executed horribly. I did like the idea, but nobody can convince me that execution was good, okay? And, when you have such stupid plot twists and stuff like that, it kind of it ruins an entire character for me. As I said, sometimes it really depends on the situation. Sumire used to be one of my favorite characters before that stupid plot twist. She kind of got better because she got some character development in episode 49 when she, at first she was struggling. She didn't want to admit that she tried to kill everybody in the village with the Nue, but then she admitted to her comrades. That was great. But anyway, why am I talking about Sumire so much? Let's get back to plot twists. Smart plot twists, that's something that I really enjoy. Even if it's predictable, I still enjoy it if it's smart. And for me, it wasn't predictable. I thought that Tomaru was the one who pretty much planned out everything. I thought that maybe he contacted the bandit and he was like, yo, let's fake my kidnapping and let's ask them to give us some money and then we're gonna split the profit, right? That's what I thought was gonna happen. And the way, Tomaru's character was set up throughout this arc and all that, and a lot of people theorized this as well. But actually, it was Ashina. She was, she wanted more attention from everybody. And it was actually her. She was the one who made the deal with the bandit. And on top of that, the bandit was already caught. And it was Konohamaru. And we pretty much saw everybody, faking this mission or whatever. I thought that was a good plot twist. As I said, I love smart plot twists. I just fucking love it. Like, when Itachi was revealed as the good guy, I was the happiest person in the world, and I'm not even joking here. So yeah, I thought that was great. Now let's talk about Mitsuki. By the way, obviously Mitsuki had that interaction with Chocho in the last episode when she pretty much, bullied him in front of everybody. She was like, you discount average looking guy or whatever. In my last episode review, I talked about karma, how, Chocho said horrible things about Mitsuki and his physical appearance, and then Tomaru said it to her, if you guys remember that. Anyway, there was that interaction between Mitsuki and Chocho in the last episode, and he was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was a very interesting sentence. And throughout the series, they had like one or two interesting, character interactions, and I know for a fact that on Twitter, quite a few people ship them. And I feel like these people are even more happy with this episode because Mitsuki was the one who triggered Chocho's process of, I guess, maturing. He was the one who realized that, I should get to Chocho's level. She seems to understand stuff only if chips and food are mentioned. So he pretty much made a parallel between rotten and good potatoes. And it's like, no matter how strange it sounds, because we saw so many analogies related to chips and all that, it was effective and it was great. And Chocho managed to understand his point. And it was at that point, I believe, that she stopped being rude. And then she kind of changed towards the end of the episode. And I really, really respect that from Mitsuki. You guys know that I love Mitsuki as a character. He's my third favorite next-gen character. And I like him even more after this episode. And all of that was great. Another stupid thing about this episode was Tomaru was about to give the ring to Chocho. Was he gonna ask her for a marriage? Or was it anyway, I still think this is some pedo shit because Chocho is 12 at the moment. And this dude, he looks like he's at least 18. At least. I would say even 21 or more. But doesn't really matter. Even if he was 18 or even 17, it's still fucking strange, okay? It's very strange. And, he's like a cartoon character, to be honest. I already said this. With the way his character was developed in this arc and, his actions and all that. But what can you do? Not everything can be perfect. But anyway, what Mitsuki said about, rotten potatoes and good potatoes or whatever, he mentioned the essence again when he was talking to Orochimaru. When they switched to Orochimaru and Mitsuki, and when Orochimaru was like, about your question, am I your father or your mother? And then Mitsuki interrupted or whatever. I was just praying in myself. I was like, please mention the true essence. That's going to be such a symbolic moment, such an emotional moment, because we know that Orochimaru, when he was a kid, his parents died, which affected his life. Then he kind of changed. And he, as I mentioned multiple times throughout, throughout the different Boruto reviews, Orochimaru actually loves Mitsuki. And this kind of hit me pretty hard, but in a positive way. I got a little bit emotional when Mitsuki said that, because he showed that he pretty much respects Orochimaru as a parent. And obviously it was kind of funny seeing Orochimaru eating chips and stuff like that. I instantly thought of Light from Death Note when he ate chips. There's just something about anime characters eating chips, right? And it's all thanks to that epic scene in Death Note. If you haven't seen Death Note, it's one of my favorite anime. You should watch it. It has like 37 episodes and it's a great anime. But anyway, my rating for this episode would be 7.2. As I said, I think this episode is the best episode of this arc because Chocho developed. Am I the biggest fan of this type of character development and, the amount of time it took for this to happen? No, but still, it's character development and I need to objectively acknowledge it, right? And hopefully Chocho is going to become a better character. Hopefully. Well, in my eyes, for me at least. That's what happened in this episode. We had that symbolic moment with Mitsuki and Orochimaru. Anyway, Mitsuki's analogy with chips and all that, it was great in this episode. A smart plot twist. Yes, there were some negatives which I mentioned in this review, but I don't think it was horrible. I thought the episode was enjoyable, and I'm really, really looking forward to the future of the Boruto anime. That was your boy Hokage. Twitter and Discord links are in the description below. If you're new to this channel and if you're into Boruto, consider subscribing. Also, links to my second channel where I talk about other anime manga will be in the description of this video. And yeah, with that said, that was your boy Hokage, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.